Welcome to the Forefront Radio. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. Hope everybody is doing well. All right, y'all. Hope everybody's doing all right. Let me see if I can get this little selfie stick thing. Shalom. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. Let me send a couple of quick invites to common listeners that listen to this particular channel. We're going to talk about today how brainwashed Hispanic people are. If you're Hispanic, come in the building. We want to talk to you. All right. What's going on? Shalom, sis. Hope you're doing all right. Shalom. If you're so-called Hispanic, we want to talk to you. Today's topic is going to be freedom for brainwashed Hispanics. So if you know somebody that's Latino, Hispanic, Haitian, Dominican, from the Caribbean islands, from Brazil, Guatemala, from Mexico, send them this chat. share this with them. Share this with them. You understand? We're going to get into a discussion, y'all, about brainwashed Latinos, brainwashed freedom for brainwashed Hispanics and brainwashed Latinos, y'all. That's what we're going to talk about today. So get your pen, your paper. Get ready for an interesting conversation. If you know anybody that's Hispanic, if you know anybody that's Latino, share this with them, and we're going to get into a discussion. Shalom. Hope you're doing well. All right, so we got I'll wait till there's at least 20 people in the room, and then we'll start the conversation. All right, I'll wait till there's at least 20 people in the room, and then we'll start the conversation. Y'all share the room with at least 10 people, y'all. Sharing is caring, right? Because they're Catholic, right. So we're gonna give some freedom for brainwashed Latinos out here. All right, so share the room with people that are so-called Hispanic. A lot of people in America are confused. I see that. The propaganda has worked, y'all. The reason why I say the propaganda has worked, you got people in Latin America that's saying, I'm not black, I'm whatever specific language or specific country. I'm not black, I'm Dominican. I'm not black, I'm Brazilian. I'm not black, I'm Mexican. None of these prior to the 1400s. Ask them, what was your nationality prior to the 1400s? Ask them. Was your original language Spanish? Ask them. Yo no sé, I don't know, brother. They start salsa dancing. Like you're going to try to salsa your way out of being black. Come on, man. Like you're going to bachata your way out of being black. Whoever heard the song La Bamba? Whoever heard this, put a 1 in the chat if you ever heard the song La Bamba. La da 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 la bamba. Da 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 la bamba. Da 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 da. Y'all ever heard that song before? La Bamba. How many of y'all know that the song La Bamba is a Negro spiritual? I'm in the congregation of Kohen Alam Yah El. Is a Negro spiritual. I'm in the congregation of Kohen Alam Yah El. Good for you. Guess what? The song La Bamba was a song created by the Yanga, which was a group of Latino Negroes that lived in Mexico, in the area of Veracruz, Mexico. Guess what? The La Bamba song was a Negro spiritual. Yes. The La Bamba song, shalom to you, hope you're doing well, peace, blessings to you. The La Bamba song was a song that came from enslaved persons. I've never heard that before. I didn't know that. There we go. We got the commenters in the chat already. They're like, yo, I didn't know that. I'm telling you facts. I'm telling you facts. A group of enslaved persons in Veracruz, Mexico, that were known as the Yanga, they came up with that song, La Bamba. And many people that's in Mexico don't know that they're singing a song that came from the descendants of enslaved persons. Just like the song Kumbaya here, yes, just like the song, why were the enslaved persons in America sing Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya, come back here, Yah, my Lord? Why were they singing Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, coming forth to carry me home? Why were the slaves in Africa that came to the Americas, why were they singing songs about the River Jordan, songs about Moses? Why were they singing those songs? It's because they're the original people of the Bible. They're the original. So we're going to help today those brainwashed Latinos that say, I'm not black, I'm Dominican. I'm not black, I'm Puerto Rico. I'm not black, I'm Mexicano. We're going to help you today. We're going to fix that. We're going to correct that today. We're going to correct that today. I have a book, and the book is called The History of the Slave Trade. This is for educational and information purposes only. So if you like education, this is for you. If you like history, this is for you. If you don't like information, viewer discretion is advised. I have a book entitled History of the Slave Trade. Guess what? 55% of the enslaved persons were in South America and Brazil. Only 6% were in the United States. But when you talk to so-called Latinos, they say, it wasn't me, it was the black people that was enslaved in America. I wasn't a slave. 55% of the enslaved persons were in South America and Brazil. I'm not black, I'm Dominican. Wait a minute. 35% of the enslaved persons were in the Caribbean islands. That's your Puerto Rico, that's your Cuba, that's your Dominican Republic, that's your Jamaica. The river, I like that song. Yeah, that's what's that river song? How does that river song go? Deep river, something like that. I can't even remember it. I used to sing it back when I was in middle school. They had us singing all types of songs in middle school, right? So wait a minute, what's going on here? You got a group of individuals that's saying, I'm not black, I'm Aboriginal, I'm Indian, I'm Latino, I'm Hispanic. Guess what? The first place to be called Hispanic was the island of Hispaniola that comprised of two native groups, one called the Taino, one called the Arawak. Guess what? The people that live there are black and brown people. They call them Haitiano, which is Haitian, and Dominican, which came from the Dominican friars that came with Christopher Columbus, okay, and retitled that land Hispaniola. Listen to what I'm saying, folks. The term Hispanic comes from that island in 1492 that Christopher Columbus called Hispaniola, property of Spain. Wait a minute. So your original language was not Spanish? No. Your original language was not Portuguese? No. It was a learned language by invaders that came to Hispaniola. Y'all see that? Put a 1 in the chat if you see right here. Haiti, Dominican Republic, Hispaniola. Y'all see that at the bottom right there? Y'all see that at the bottom right there? So in the 1400s, Christopher Columbus sailed across the ocean and brought Hebrew-speaking people. They called them the Black Portuguese and the Black Spaniards. They called them Moriscos, Morenos, and There we go. All praises to the Most High. All right. Put a 1 in the chat if the audio is clear. Put a 1 in the chat if the audio is clear. All right. All right. All praises. So, when it comes to the Bible, there is history of our ancestors going into captivity and it being authorized by the Roman Catholic Church. That's why the primary religion in Latin America is what? Catholicism. Catholicism. And through that psychological brainwashing, many of the people that call themselves Hispanic, Latino, don't know that they are Israelites. They think that they belong to Spain. When it was Spain and Portugal that authorized the enslavement of your ancestors in Latin America. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go online and we're going to read sources proving slavery in Latin America, which fits the prophecies of the Bible. Let's start first with Mexico. Listen close. Let's start with Mexico. Let's go to slavery in Mexico according to Wikipedia. All right. Does everybody rely on Wikipedia as a reliable source? You agree that Wikipedia, the encyclopedia of Wikipedia, can be used as a reliable source? Because I want to make sure, because you got some people that they don't believe in using an encyclopedia to prove information. So we want to make sure we're all on the same page. All right, shalom. All right, so watch this. Listen to this. This is Beatriz de Padilla. Beatriz de Padilla, born 1620, was a Mexican-born woman who rose from slavery to property ownership. Her legal battles and persecution by the Spanish Inquisition, gained her notability during her lifetime. In 1650, de Padilla was accused of using magic to seduce and poison priest Diego Ortiz, whom she had a long-lasting love affair with. You see that? So here go the Catholic priest being told by his church, you're not supposed to have a wife. And because of that, he had an affair with this woman, right? And this woman that he had an affair with, they accused her of witchcraft. Y'all see that? Watch this. De Padilla, who was born into slavery, what we're reading about? We're reading about Mexico. She was the daughter of a mulatto mother and a father. She and her mother were eventually freed for their exemplary service. That's talking about people in captivity, y'all. They were set free because they worked real good. De Padilla was the mistress to many powerful men. Y'all know what that means. But the man she spent the longest with and was closest to, Diego Ortiz, eventually promised her and their son his land and estate. Her relationship with Ortiz and his subsequent passing away sparked legal accusations against her, and she was put on trial by the Spanish Inquisition in Mexico City. Wait a minute, y'all. We're reading about history here. Watch this. However, due to her candid testimony and allegedly her beauty, she was acquitted of all charges and returned to her home in Lagos as a free property owner. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. I want y'all to put your critical thinking hat on. Is there not a Lagos, Lagos, in Africa? Yes, there is. So how is there a Lagos in Africa and a Lagos in Mexico? Watch this. Listen close. Lagos de Moreno. Lagos de Moreno. The word Moreno means Moors. Lagos de blacks. That's what that means right there. Morenos, negros, same word. Lagos de Moreno is a city and municipality in the state of Jalisco, Mexico. Lagos is located in the region of the Los Altos de Jalisco, within the macro region of the Bajío, one of the most highly developed areas in Latin America. Latin America. Wait a minute, y'all. Watch this. Pre-Hispanic era. The origins of Lagos de Moreno date to its founding as the Tezcatlipoca or Tezcatlipoca by Eunuch the Seventh in 1028 BC. Then the city served as a capital for the Chichimequalati chiefdom. In the 12th centuries, semi-nomadic people occupied the valley and dominated an extensive area stretching from present-day San Juan de los Lagos to southern Coahuila. Before the colonization of Mexico began, indigenous, aka black, culture thrived in this area, with notable pre-Hispanic architecture being established in Rincon de Mesa, Sauceda, and El Maguey. Interesting. Interesting history that we don't get taught. Watch this. Colonial era. After the fall of the Aztec Empire, Aztec, that's going into Issachar, the tribe of Issachar, the Inca, the Maya, the Azteca, those are the tribe of Issachar in the Bible. Many people don't know that. After the fall of Aztec Empire, explorers, aka invaders, aka colonizers, aka conquistadores, explorers set out to explore the western frontier to the Bajío region. The Spain expansion in Nueva Galicia, New Galatia, that's what that means, was slowed down by several tribes in the vicinity, such as the semi-nomadic Chichimecas and the Guachicheles. To the east of the Petitchilan, the Guamares inhabited the Guanajuato area, and to the west, the Zacatecos lived. The Zacatecos were the chiefs, who were called Caudillos, with the Chichimecas struck down multiple Spanish invasions from 1550 to 1590 in the well-known Chichimeca War. However, encomenderos gradually occupied the Bajío, meaning what? That term, encomienda, is basically the Spanish labor system, which is basically slavery of all conquered non-Christian people, non-European people. You understand? So what we're reading here is that the chiefs in the 1500s were fighting against Spain to resist slavery up until the time that they got enslaved. This is for these people that tell you that Hispanic people were not enslaved. This is going back to the 1400s, 1500s, 1600s, before 1619 and the slavery in America. We got statistical data, y'all. 6% of the enslaved persons were in North America. 55% of the enslaved persons were in South America and Latin America, Brazil. You understand? Thank you for the cap. Boy, look at that mustache. Boy, look at that mustache and that cap right there, boy. Hey, appreciate the cap and the mustache. So notice here, right? Are we reading history? Yes, we are. What is the encomienda? For those that are not familiar with it, the encomienda is a Spanish labor system that rewarded conquerors with the labor of conquered non-Christian people. When they say non-Christian people, that means these folks Folks that don't look like this. If you don't look like this, if you look like this, you're going to go into captivity. That's what that mean right there. That's what that mean right there. You understand? It says it rewarded conquerors with the labor, meaning forced work of conquered non-Christian people. You see, in ancient times, those European folks, they equated Christian with this color right here. You was Christian if you look like this right here, right here, right here. Palm colored. You understand? This was not considered Christian. Aboriginal was not considered Christian. Indios, right, was not considered Christian back then. Remember, they had to come and Christianize you, convert you to Catholicism. Watch this. In theory, the conquerors provided the laborers with benefits, allegedly, including military protection and education. In theory, the encomienda was first established in Spain, following the Christian Reconquista, and it was applied on a much larger scale during the Spanish colonization of the Americas and the Spanish East Indies. The East Indies is going into what? The Philippines, Guam. That's why these jokers here speak Spanish all the way over there in the Philippines. Y'all don't know. They took slaves from Mexico, Puerto Rico, Haiti, Dominican Republic, and brought them all the way across to the Philippines, y'all. And vice versa. They took them from the Philippines, went to Hawaii, and then went to California, Mexico, all those regions. You understand? Many people don't know that history. This is how you started to speak Spanish. This is how you started to speak Spanish from colonization. The Aztec were Hebrew people. The Inca, the Maya were Hebrew people. The Taino Indians, the Arawak, the Caribs, they were Hebrew people. That's why Christopher Columbus and his colonizers had to bring black Portuguese and black Spaniards from overseas to come over there and translate for the people. Y'all understand that? It says, Christian Reconquista, and it was applied on a much larger scale during the Spanish colonization of the Americas and the Spanish East Indies. Conquered peoples were considered vassals of the Spanish monarch. Y'all hear that? Conquered peoples were considered vassals of the Spanish monarch. Now watch this. The crown awarded an encomienda as the grant to a particular individual. In the conquest era of the early 16th century, that's going into what? The 1400s, the 1500s, right? The grants were considered a monopoly on the labor of a particular group of indigenous peoples. Now watch this. Now I'm going to show you out of the Bible who was that particular group of indigenous peoples that they enslaved. Watch this. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 22. Now I'm going to show it to you in the Bible. Jeremiah chapter 22. This is why we match up history with prophecy. Watch this. Jeremiah chapter 22. Let's read verse 13. Woe unto him that builds his house by unrighteousness and his chambers by wrong, that uses his neighbor's service without wages, and gives him not for his work. So, the indigenous population that lived in Latin American countries, Mexico, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Honduras, Brazil, right? Were they not forced to work for free? Yes, they were. Let's read the Wikipedia source once again. This is under the title of Encomienda. You can look it up on Wikipedia. It says, in the conquest era, quote, in the conquest era of the early 16th century, the grants were considered a monopoly on the labor of particular groups of indigenous peoples. Y'all see that? So the indigenous people that they enslaved were what? The Taino Indians, the Arawak Indians, the Carib Indians, the Chickasaw Indians, the Seminole Black Indians, the Aboriginal Indians. The indigenous peoples that they enslaved was the Inca, the Maya, the Azteca, the Olmec, the people of Guatemala, Honduras, Brazil, Ecuador, Suriname, Venezuela, Colombia. Y'all think about it, y'all. Think about it real quick. How can you have an entire country named after Christopher Columbus and they call themselves Colombians if they weren't enslaved? How do you have a group of melanated people in South America calling themselves Colombians if they're not fitting what we're reading here in the Bible? Columbus was a colonizer that invaded the land and renamed it after his own name. I'm going to show it to you in the Bible. Psalm chapter 49, verse 11. Psalm chapter 49. We're going to help our people that's in Latino nations to wake up from their brainwashing. You are part of the lost tribes of Israel. Psalm chapter 49, shalom to you, verse 11. It says, their inward thought, meaning the thought of the colonizer, the thought of the invader, is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They called their lands after their own names. Their own names. Meaning what? When Christopher Columbus came to the Americas, he retitled the entire country Hispaniola after Spain. Then he retitled what? Colombia after Columbus. What are we reading? The Bible. They call their lands after their own names. Watch this. Verse 12. Nevertheless, man being honored abides not. He is like the beast that perish. So when we're reading here in the Bible about the mark of the beast and all of this stuff, it's talking about man's kingdom on the earth controlling and monopolizing society. Controlling and monopolizing society. That's why you got a District of Columbia, because they call their land after their own names. Whatever land they conquered and colonized, they called it after their names. This is why our people speak English in America. This is why our people speak French in Canada. This is why our people speak Spanish and French Creole in Haiti and Dominican Republic. This is why we speak English in various British colonies. And this is why we speak Spanish in Latin America. If you call yourself Latino, that's a fake title. If you call yourself Hispanic, that's a fake title. If you call yourself Negros, Morenos, that's a fake title. If you call yourself Indian, Aboriginal, that's a fake title. Ab means without, origin. Ab, origin, without origin. That's what you call yourself when you say, I'm an Aboriginal. When you say I'm indigenous, you're basically saying I'm an Indian. That's a made-up title. That's a made-up title. These titles that they gave us, Colombian, Dominican, Haitian, Puerto Rican, were titles by conquistadors. And that was a biblical-based prophecy as well. Watch this. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. God said to Moses, if you listen to me, follow my laws, statutes, and commandments, you're going to be the top ruling nation on the earth. On the earth. But if you break my law, you're going to go into captivity. You're going to lose your identity. You're going to call yourself bywords and proverbs. Watch this. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 37. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 37. Deuteronomy 28, verse 37. And thou shalt become, meaning you will become, an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations whither the Lord shall lead thee. Meaning what? You're going to leave your homeland in Jerusalem in Africa. You're going to go across to the oceans to the other side of the planet. And when you get colonized and enslaved, they're going to start to call you colors in a crayon box. You're brown people. You're black people. You're negro. You're moreno. You're African American. You're Mexican. You're Puerto Rican. You're Haitian. You're Dominican. You're Jamaican. You're Belizean. You're from Brazil. You're from Suriname. They retitled you to names instead of what? Biblical based names like Benjamin, Levi, Issachar, Naphtali, Gad, Reuben, Simeon. That was your biblical names back in ancient biblical times, y'all. Ask a Hispanic. Before the 1400s, what was your title? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Before they called you Mexica, which means messiahs, what was your title? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Before you were called Inca and Mayan by the invading forces, what did they call you? In biblical times, what was your name? I don't know. We were always speaking Spanish. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. We were always speaking Dutch. No, you weren't. We were always speaking Brazilian. No, you weren't. We were always speaking English. No, you weren't. No. You had a language. You had a culture. You had an identity. Do me a favor, y'all. We got 27 people in the room. Tap the screen, get the likes up, share the room with at least 10 people, y'all. Sharing is caring. The more you share, the more you care. So when we're reading out of the Bible that a group of people would lose their identity, lose their culture, be called different titles, that did not happen to Chinese people as a whole. That did not happen to the blue and white flag in the Middle East as a whole. That did not happen to Arabs as a whole. But who did it happen to? So-called Hispanics, so-called Negroes, so-called blacks, so-called Native Indigenous. So you notice I'm saying so-called, meaning you were given those titles by the colonizer, by the invader that stole your wood, your water, your food, your natural resources, and then called you the illegal alien. How you come to another land, enslave the people for hundreds of years, mess with their family, force them to only speak Spanish, English, and French, and then turn around and say, if you come to the United States, you're illegal. They was already here. They was already here. We were already here. Some of us came from the west coast of Africa and got brought over here, but some of us was already in the Americas prior to Christopher Columbus. Some of us. We're brothers and sisters. The difference between blacks and Hispanics is a slave ship. That's it. One came from Spain and one came from Great Britain. That's it. That's the only difference. Here it is. You got jokers as dark as me talking about, I'm not black, I'm Hispanic. I'm not black, I'm Dominican. I'm not black, I'm Brazilian. You're an Israelite. You're an Israelite. 55% of the enslaved people were in South America. 6% were in North America. Remember 13 colonies? That's a small little section. Mexico, way bigger than the 13 colonies. Brazil, way bigger than the 13 colonies. We don't put this in perspective because we were taught incorrectly. We were taught incorrectly. Watch this. Watch this. I'm going to show you. Our food, our water, our wood, all of that was taken from us in Latin America, in the United States of America, and those that did not have our best interests at heart took it from us and then called our ancestors illegal aliens. Here it is. You got black folks arguing with Latinos, not knowing they're the same people. Watch this. Let's go to Lamentations chapter 5. Lamentations chapter 5, verse 1. Remember, O Lord, what has come upon us. Consider and behold our reproach. Meaning what? It's a reproach to call yourself a Latino. You are not Latin. Latin is a language. Now they're so confused. They say, we're not going to call ourselves Latino no more. We're going to call ourselves Latin X. Latin unknown. You heard of Malcolm X? I don't know where I come from, so I'm going to just call myself Latin X. Watch this. Behold and consider our reproach. Our inheritance is turned to strangers, our houses to aliens. Wait a minute. Let me put on my critical thinking hat. When Christopher Columbus came here, was there already people here? Yes or no? Write it in the chat. When Christopher Columbus came to Hispaniola, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Jamaica, when he came over to Mexico, was there already people here? Yes. Let's read the Bible verse again. Our inheritance is turned to strangers, our houses to aliens. Wait a minute. So that means Christopher Columbus, Hernan Cortez, Ponce de Leon, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, these were the illegal aliens. Wait a minute. Our houses went to aliens. So in Latin America, Spain and Portugal invaded and colonized Latin America, and now they call the so-called indigenous peoples, now they call them the illegal alien. But guess what? These jokers here were illegal. Did they vote for this land? Did Spain vote for Latin America? Did the Portuguese vote for Brazil? Did the Dutch vote for Suriname, Curacao? Did the British vote for the 13 colonies? Did the French vote for Canada? I'm trying to make you think. I'm trying to make you put your critical thinking hat on. They attack and misrepresent indigenous populations on the earth. They call Venezuelan people, Mexican people, Haitian people, and black people illegal. You don't got the right to bear arms. You illegal, but everybody else can bear arms, but you can't. You got the right to remain silent, but when you speak, anything you say can be used against you. Are we really free? Watch this. Lamentations chapter 5, verse 2. Our inheritance is turned to strangers, our houses to aliens. Christopher Columbus was the illegal alien. Ponce de Leon was the illegal alien. The British, Spain, Dutch, France, they were the illegal aliens, to make it plain. Watch this. We are orphans and fatherless. Our mothers are as widows. Meaning what? They were killing all the chiefs, all the caciques, all the leaders. We have drunken our water for money. Wait a minute. This is still going on today. We drinking our own water for... Water comes out of the sky for free, but I got to pay Dasani. I got to pay a water bill. I got to pay a light bill. Wait a minute. We being scammed, y'all. Hey. We have drunken our water for money. Our wood is sold unto us. Wait a minute, y'all. You go over to Latin America in some country, or you go to some forest reserve in America and chop down a tree. See if you don't get arrested by the park ranger. Here it is. You got land that's open. They set up a fence and say, this is game reserve, reserved by the United States government. You can't touch it. You got to go to Walmart. You got to go to Lowe's. You got to go to Home Depot to buy wood. Instead of pick up an axe and go into the forest and build your own house, right? Wood is supposed to be free. Trees grow plants for free. You got fruits, mango tree, coconut tree, bamboo tree, oak tree. But wait a minute. We got to go to the store to buy wood? That's slavery, y'all. And that's what happened to so-called Hispanics. That's what happened to so-called blacks. That's what happened to so-called Latinos. What are we reading? The Bible. They never read that in church. You never learned this in church because they don't want you to know that the Hebrews in Latin America are God's chosen people, that the Hebrews in North America are God's chosen people, that you are God's chosen people. They want you to think that the blue and white flag out there, that's religious converts. Did that happen to them? How is it that the only history they talk about is World War II? How come during World War II, they never talked about being put on slave ships and brought across from Latin America all the way to Spain? But we could read out of the Bible that the real people of the Bible had chains of iron around their neck and they were brought back and forth between the triangular trade. We could read it literally out of the Bible. Yokes of iron upon your neck, being placed on ships, scattered all over the world. We could read it out of the Bible. I can give you book, chapter, and verse right now. So now, let me pause for a second and ask the audience. If you call yourself Latino, please hit the guest icon, Hispanic, and tell me what you just learned. You learned more information in 30 minutes of being on the Forefront Radio than in your entire time being exposed to the Catholic Church. Why they never taught you this in Catholic school? If you are so-called Latino or Hispanic, hit the guest icon and join on this conversation. And we're going to remove the mental brainwashing that's been placed on your brain. Simple questions. What language were you speaking before Spanish? What culture did you have before the culture of Spain? What was your food? What was your diet? What was your rituals? What did you do? What did you do prior to that? We're reading out of the Bible. So if your history matches up with what we're reading out of the Bible, that means you're a Hebrew. Guess what? You had a group of people that was called the Jibaros. The Jibaros is the same word as Hebrew. Why do you got a group of Latino people called Jibaru? Hebrew, Jibaro. That sounds like the same word to me, don't it? Don't that sound like the same word to you? I wonder. If you're Hispanic, hit the guest icon. If you're Hispanic, if you're Latino, hit the guest icon. All right? Hit the guest icon. I want to ask some questions. Let's continue on with some history. Let's go back to the Wikipedia. Encomienda, as a grant to a particular individual in the conquest era of the early 16th century, the grants were considered a monopoly on labor. Somebody said, why do you waste your time worrying about genealogies? Is not winning souls better? You must not understand how to fish. Christ called us to be fishers of men, correct? Alexandra? So in order to fish, you got to have what's called what? Bait. Bait. You ever heard of clickbait? How did you get into this room? You clicked on the room and you came in, right? Obviously, the topic is interesting because you came in the comment, right, Alexander? That's the tactic to win souls, smart guy. You need to touch on a topic that people can relate to and then draw them into the Bible. What is the bait? The topic today is Hebrews in Latin America. You see that? You see that right there? You see that right there? You see that right there? That's the topic. That's the topic right there. So we're inviting all people that call themselves Hispanic, Blacks, Native Americans, Native Indigenous populations, Aboriginal, and then we go into the Bible and show them their history in the Bible to prove that they're Hebrews, not Hispanic, Hebrews, not Latino. You understand? Yaabe, you went fishing before, right? I don't know if you have an opportunity to speak right now, but Yaabe, can you talk about a little bit about fishing and how it requires you to get bait and all of this stuff? Because I'm not a fisherman. I've ate fish, but I've never gone fishing. So for those that have gone fishing, Yaabe, you've gone fishing before, right? I don't know if you're available to speak on it. Yaabe, you there? Oh, you under a truck. All right, got you. You're working. Got you. No pressure. All right. So the scriptures calls us to be fishers of men. We touch on various topics impacting our communities in the efforts to try to inform them on the veracity of the scriptures being their history book. Because what? Guess what? We call it history. The Bible calls it prophecy. The Bible talks about the 12 tribes being scattered worldwide. So what I'm doing is I'm reading encyclopedias right? About the history of what happened to Latin Americans and then relating it to the Bible so that way they see that their history matches the Bible. Does that make sense, Alexander? Alexander Yahweh, does that make sense? Does that make sense to you? I hope it does. I hope it does. Do me a favor, y'all. Tap the screen, get the like, sub, share the room with at least 10 people. All right, let's continue. It says, the crown awarded an encomienda as a grant to the particular individual in the conquest era of early 16th century. The grants were considered a monopoly on the labor of particular groups of indigenous peoples. So now remember, we're reading about a group of people that were forced into labor. What's another word for labor of those that work for free? It starts with the letter S. It starts with the letter S. Thank you so much, Evangelist, for sharing the room with at least 5 people. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right. What is another word? Correct. Slavery. Correct. Now, we're going to read this same concept of those that labored for free in the New Testament, because some people may say, well, you're just reading out of the Old Testament. How do we know that the New Testament talks about this topic? We're going to touch on that as well. We call it history. The Bible calls it prophecy. Thank you, Tony. Thank you so much for sharing the room with at least 5 people or more. I appreciate you for doing that. Let's go to the book of James, chapter 1, verse 1. Notice who the Bible is talking to. Let's go to James chapter 1, verse 1. Listen close. It says, James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. So now, for the 40 plus people that are in this room, who was James writing to? Was he writing to the 12 tribes, or was he writing to everybody on the planet? Because when you write a letter, there should be a sender and a recipient. So he's telling you the sender's name is James. Then it's telling you the recipient. Correct. Tony has it correct. The 12 tribes. The 12 tribes of the nation of the Israelites. The sons of Jacob. Correct. Evangelist has it correct, to the 12 tribes. So now we're going to read something that happened to the 12 tribes so we can show you the veracity of Scripture. Watch this. Let's go to James chapter 5 now. Let's start at verse 4. Let's start at verse 1. Go to now, you rich men, that's going into the corporations of men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, meaning the way that these nations established their wealth was through corruption, using their neighbor's service without wages. Then it says, and your garments are moth-eaten. I want you to think about the slave system and how they force people to work for free, using what garments? Cotton. He says, your riches are corrupted, meaning the way you attain your wealth is through poor means, and your garments are moth-eaten. During the slave trade, were they not using cotton to formulate their garments? Yes, they were. Watch this. Your gold and your silver is cankered, meaning the riches that you exploited out of Africa, out of the Caribbean islands, out of Latin America. Your gold and your silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. You have reaped treasure together for the last days, for the last days. So James is writing to people that are impacted in his community on how the rich men of the earth use exploitation and colonization to steal natural resources, steal gold, steal silver, cotton production, all of this stuff we're reading. Watch this. Here's the proof. Here's the proof that is talking to the 12 tribes. It says, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, meaning what? The sugarcane field, the coffee field, the grape field, the vineyards, right? The rice field, the sugarcane fields. What's another word for fields? Plantations. Wait a minute. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is kept back by fraud, meaning what? They forced the people to work for free and kept back the money by fraud. They kept back the money by fraud. Just like we just read in Jeremiah, woe unto him that builds his house on unrighteousness, that uses his neighbor's service without wages. We just read it also in the encomienda system in Latin America, where they were forcing people to work for free. Do you see how the Bible is congruent? We read Old Testament and New Testament, and it seems to be saying the same thing to the 12 tribes. So the people that they called Hispanic are part of the 12 tribes. The people that they call Black are part of the 12 tribes. The people that they call Latino are those are the laborers that work for free. That God is reaching out to them and saying, I hear your suffering. I hear your labor. God knows your suffering. Watch this. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. Meaning what? That happened with Trujillo too, and the Haitians. Correct. They don't tell you that the island of Hispaniola used to be united as one against colonization. That whole island was free from slavery at one time, up until the United States, up until France, Spain, recolonized it, reinvaded it, and made one side poor and one side somewhat rich. Right? That's what they did. Watch this. It says, the cries of them which have reaped down your fields have entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, meaning the God of war, the Lord of hosts, the Lord of armies. Okay? Let's go back. This is Wikipedia, Encomienda. It says, in the conquest era, meaning the colonizer, the conquistador era of Latin America and the Caribbean islands, in the conquest era of the early 16th century, the grants were considered a monopoly on the labor of particular groups of indigenous people, meaning what? The 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. Quote, Yayus J said, the United States made it so they were indebted to a bank. Correct. Good information. Watch this. Held in perpetuity by the grant holder called the encomendero. Starting from the new laws of 1542, the encomienda ended upon the passing away of the encomendero and was replaced by the repartimiento. Y'all. So they wanted to continue slavery. So now we just read about the encomiendo. Let's read now about the repartimiento. Listen close. Repartimiento, also known as the distribution, partition, or division, was a colonial labor system imposed upon indigenous population of Spanish America and the Philippines. So our ancestors were taken from Latin America all the way to plantations in the Philippines, fitting the prophecies of the Bible, scattered into all nations, scattered abroad, just like we read in the New Testament. James, a servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes, which is scattered. This is where we get the modern term diaspora, which means dispersed. Scattered. Wait a minute. So the indigenous population of Spanish America were brought all the way to the Philippines? Why didn't you ever read that during history class? Why did they never teach you this in church? Why did you never learn this on National Geographic Channel? Watch this. In concept, it was similar to other tribute labor systems, such as the Mita of the Inca Empire or the Corvée of the ancient regime of France. Through the Pueblos de Indios, the Amerindians were drafted work for cycles of weeks, months, or years on farms, that's your plantations, that's your fields, in mines, in workshops known as abrajes, and public projects. Public projects. Did anything change? When they want you to do construction on the highway, to build up the highways, when they want you to build up all the buildings, who do they gather to build the buildings? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Wait a minute. Public projects. The majority of the people that are working public projects are not the people that say, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, Chuck. Perfect example in the land of the small white and blue flag, right? That claim to be you with the letter J and are not. You wish you was a Jew, but you're not. They conscripted black people from the continent of Africa to come and work their agricultural sector while they're in a full-on conflict with Arabs in that land. If they were about pulling yourself by your bootstraps, why did they pay $60 million to the country of Malawi to get them to bring their people to go all the way to the so-called Middle East and Northeast Africa to work for these people for free? Relegating them to the same position they were in during colonization. Relegating them to the same position, shalom to you, hope you're doing well. Relegating them to the same position that they were in as they were slaves in Egypt during the story of Exodus. During the story of watch this. I'm gonna show it to you. Let's go to Exodus. Why did Black, Native Americans, why did Latinos work the same position as the slaves in Egypt in the story of Exodus? We ain't put two and two together yet. That these are the Hebrews of the Bible. Let's make it make sense. Watch this. Let's go to Exodus. I'm gonna show it to you. Exodus chapter 1. Exodus chapter 1. Let's start at verse 13. It says, and the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. That means hard work. Watch this. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. Wait a minute. The field is the plantation. The field is the plantation. Right? Y'all do me a favor. Tap the screen, get the likes up. Is the field not the plantation? Write 1 for yes, write 2 if you're confused. Is the field not the plantation? Write 1. Hey, if you're going to spam my comment section with a whole bunch of comments saying the same thing over and over, I'm going to mute you. Okay? If you're going to make a comment, make your singular comment. I read your comment. We'll move forward. But if you're going to make multiple spam comments, do not spam my channel. I will send you to Blakanda forever quick. Okay, so now follow the question. We're reading out of the Bible that the children of Israel, when they were enslaved in Egypt, that's in Africa, by the way. Egypt is in Africa, not in Scandinavia. It's not in Europe or Russia. It's not in Germany, for these dummies talking about their Yiddish. They're Middle Eastern. Egypt is in Africa. And the Egyptian made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick. Now, I want you to consider this. This is a yes or no question. Did black people, did native indigenous populations, and so-called Hispanics, were they not working construction to build the Americas? Yes or no? If your answer is yes, all praises to the Most High. If your answer is no, then we're going to have to read statistical data and articles and encyclopedia to prove our point. I got yes, I got yes, I got yes. So 3 people out of 39 said yes. Okay, who else? I got a 4th yes. All right. I got a 4th yes. I got a 5th yes. So out of 40 people, only 5 people are responding. Okay, there we go. Yes, thank you, Alex. Who to this day, till this day, when they decide to do a big construction project, thank you, Evangelist, we got yes, are they not calling black people, Hispanic people, and native indigenous populations to build up their buildings? My father used to work construction, y'all. I know this to be a fact. My father was a plasterer for well over 40 years. And all the commercial buildings from South Florida all the way to Jupiter, Florida, he was building. Guess what? Those residential properties, he's not getting residual income from that. The banks charge people over and over for that money over a building that's already created. Tell me that's not criminal activity. To give people pennies to build something, and then you perpetually charge rent and mortgages, but don't give them a residual income. And then when they get old, they can't retire and make no money, but the banks could forever charge people to come into a property that they didn't have no part to physically build. That sounds like slavery to me. That sounds like captivity to me. That sounds like the same thing that the Egyptians made the Israelites do, made them work in hard bondage in mortar and brick. Here it is. You didn't find out until former President Barack Obama's wife said on national television that, yeah, I live in a house that was made by slaves, referring to the White House. Then people start to Google it. People's like, hold up, let me look on, was the White House built by slaves? All of a sudden they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. The White House was built by slaves. You better believe it. America did the same thing to the Israelites that ancient Egypt did to the Israelites. Hello. Spain, France, Portugal did the same thing to the Israelites like the ancient Egyptians did in Exodus. Made them work in construction and made them work on plantations. What are we reading? The Bible. I never read that in the Bible. Y'all, some people so lost in the sauce, they never even heard of the story of Cain and Abel. Walking around with a cross around their neck, but they never read the story of Cain and Abel. That's the first 3 chapters of the Bible. Cain and Abel, Genesis chapter 3, Genesis chapter 4. Here it is. I'm talking to a Christian at work. And I say, I see you got a cross on your neck. Are you a Christian? You say, yeah, my grandma gave it to me. This is a Latino now. Abuela gave it to me. Do you know the story of Cain and Abel? Who's that? Oh, God. Never heard of the story of Cain and Abel. But you call yourself a believer in God. All wrapped in modern religion, but don't know the Bible. That's the problem with our brothers. That's why I'm saying, this is why I created this room. The topic is our Hispanic brothers and sisters are brainwashed. They look dark as me in Latin America and say, yo soy Puerto Riqueño. I'm a Puerto Rican. I'm no black. Me no blackie. No, me no negro. I am a Hispanic. I speak Spanish. No. That's like me saying, I'm not black, I'm English. I partook of the British colony. I've been colonized in the mind, and I speak English. I'm not black, I'm English. I'm not black, I'm American. This is the same brainwashing here too. I'm not black, I'm American. Who were you before the United States was called the United States of America? Prior to Amerigo Vespucci, right? They call you Preto. which means black. Yeah. Who were you prior to these titles? You are the lost tribes of Israel. You are not African. You are, the term Africa was called by Leo Scipio Africanus. There's 54 countries. Prior to that, part of the whole entire continent was called Ethiopia. So you're not Ghanaian, you're not Nigerian, you're not Malawian, you're not Mozambican, you're not Zambian. You are the Israelites. Guess what? Many people don't know that the primary religion in Africa before Christianity was Judaism. Judaism. Many people don't know that there are replicas of the Ten Commandments and Moses in statues in Latin America prior to Christianity even touching over here. How in the world did, I want you to think about this. How in God's green earth, when the colonizers came to the Americas, that the Aboriginal people were already familiar with biblical-based characters? Story of Moses, story of Miriam, story of Aaron. Why were the native indigenous populations celebrating the New Moon Festival and the Passover? Why were they celebrating Afro-Hebraic customs like circumcision? Things that make you go, wait a minute, Chuck. The math ain't mathing here. You got Hispanics and Latinos that are operating over no, it wasn't the 42 laws of Ma'at. Abraham was before Ma'at. Jacob was before Ma'at. Moses was, y'all. Listen, the Bible is not based on the Hammurabi Code. The Bible is not based on the 42 laws of Ma'at. Okay? Because guess what? The Egyptians and the Canaanites were practicing LGBTQRSTUV customs, and the Bible says don't do it. Watch this. I'm going to prove it to you. Let me go off on a little tangent because somebody put the comment of Egyptian foolishness, so I want to make sure I correct that. Watch this. Let's go to Leviticus chapter 18. Leviticus chapter 18. Let's start at verse 1. Listen close. It says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Lord your God. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein you dwelt, you shall not do. You shall not do. You shall not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall you not do." So what are some of the examples that they participated in ancient Egypt? I'm going to show you. "Thou shalt not lie down with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination." So wait a minute. The ancient Egyptians were participating in LGBTQRS, peanut butter and jelly bandits. Peanut butter and jelly bandits. Somebody said, "I'm glad that you read the Bible, but not glad you stereotype my people." Here it is. I'm trying to unite Black people, Hispanic people, and Native Indigenous people and tell them you're the same people. Am I being misconstrued here? Are people not understanding my speech? Are people not understanding what I'm saying? I'm telling you, you're the greatest people to walk upon the face of the earth, that God chose you to be above all nations of the earth, that you're the same people, and somebody says, no, you're preaching division. You're stereotyping us. Please, the person that made the comment, please come up on stage and do elaborate. Please give me clarity on how I'm telling people to unite, that the only difference between you and other groups of people was a slave ship. That's it. One colonizer came from Spain, one colonizer came from France, one colonizer came from Great Britain. Well, minor Britain. Ain't nothing great about Britain. The only thing great about Britain is tea and biscuits. That's it. Everything else is trash. Have you been to Britain? You see how trashy it look? Have you been in the streets of America? They talk about make America great again. Have you seen the tent cities and the graffiti all over the place? Come on, y'all. We one people. We one people, y'all. I'm trying to unite you. Right. Am I your enemy because I'm telling you the truth? When I ask Hispanic people, what is your language before Spain? All of a sudden, they scratching their head. Yo no sé. Yo soy dominicano. I'm no blackie. Don't call me blackie. We not the same. I'm aboriginal. So that means you're without origin? The Bible says you're the Israelites. No, I'm Apache. I'm Navajo. I'm Seminole. What were you before those titles? Why did Christopher Columbus bring Hebrew translators to speak to the Navajo, to speak to the Seminole? Many people don't even know that the Seminole Indians and blacks were interchangeable. They will call you Negro and Indian at the same time. Many people don't even know that. The enslaved persons that fled intermingled with the people in Florida. Some of them got taken up to Oklahoma, and many of them went all the way south to Mexico, and they speak Spanish now. Yes, Seminole Indians are in Mexico in a place called, what is the title of it? Something de los Negros. That's the name of the, I can't remember the full name, but the ending of the title is De los Negros. And this is talking about Seminole Indians that traveled from America into Mexico, from the United States into Mexico. Okay. Not all Hebrews are Israelites. Correct. Good statement. Jaira wants to come up as a guest. All right. Welcome to the Forefront Radio. Jaira, what's your question or comment?
Thank you for allowing me to come up. Happy everyone's doing well. I've noticed as to you're saying, all right, and if you ever like to, just as a suggestion, see another person's account here on TikTok, that's the same discussion that we speak of, that this Israelite hearsay is a bunch of hogwash. Okay. The thing is, though, is that we have to take a large consideration.
Hold on a second. Did you just come on my platform and call me a liar?
No, I did not say you're a liar.
What does the term hogwash mean?
Hogwash meaning that there's still a lot of disconnection as to what we're still trying to find out.
What does the term hearsay mean?
Just like oral tradition before the Bible or the Torah was made.
So the information that we just relayed, how long have you been in this live? I just want to make sure that I understand, engage you to know how much you, because the term hearsay means rumor, gossip, mere talk, stories, tales, fables. Basically, it's another term for lie.
Just like oral tradition.
Okay. So, were your ancestors in slavery, yes or no?
Before Columbus came, no.
Okay. When Columbus came, were your ancestors in slavery?
I mean, that's still a part that I'm reading of. I can't say immediately.
Okay. I have a document from Christopher Columbus' journal, okay, when he was writing and reporting to King Ferdinand and Isabella. And in this document, he's referring to the people that he enslaved as Moors and Jews.
All right, that's another thing in the Columbus journals. None of that he wrote personally. This is all from his lieutenants and admirals that was with him in all 4 voyages.
Repeat what you said so I can make sure I understand you clearly.
Christopher Columbus did not write anything personally. All his generals and admirals wrote for him.
Okay. So if I'm a captain and I have a secretary write for me and document information down, does that make the information invalid?
It could be biased, so yes.
So you're telling me this brother right here, Brother, do you understand back during that time, during the Inquisition, if you lied to the government and the church that you would get unalive, that they would
Did
burn
you
you at the stake? These
did
were
you know
people
it
that were
was
going
only in number
overseas.
8 of the
Bro,
laws of
these
Ma'at
are
that it
people
says
that were
that I shall not
overseas.
lie?
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. You're trying to shift the goalposts. These are people that went overseas and were told to accomplish specific tasks and give reports. In the document, it's referring to people that they enslaved as Moors and Jews.
And as well
So,
as that,
the
Columbus
hell,
was also banned.
the hell with Egyptian theology. What are you going to do about that information from the 1400s? You're on.
All right. The thing is, though, with Columbus bringing, yes, Jews, even as Columbus being a Coptic Jew as well. All right.
So he was an Egyptian Jew?
No, a Coptic
Coptic is
Jew.
from,
Or,
you mean
sorry,
crypto or because Coptic is
cryptic Jew.
Egypt?
Sorry, cryptic Jew. Sorry. He was a cryptic Jew, okay? As
He was a
we've
Catholic,
seen.
brother. He was a Catholic.
No, he was a Jew before, all right? It was the Roman Church that then got him after he had been studying in the Mediterranean and as well in Portugal with the Moorish people. That's how he learned all his astronomical navigation skills. He learned from the Moorish people, from the Mediterranean as well in the Portugal. He went to Portugal before he got recruited by the Roman Church to go to King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella.
That still doesn't disprove the point that I just made, brother. You're giving more information that validates what I'm telling you.
And
That's
that's
what
the
you're
thing, is that we also need to validate the information that as well we cannot provide this solidified whatever Israelites of whatever. Okay, we have to also come into understanding that the Torah was not made until centuries later after oral tradition.
Watch this. I want y'all to look at something. I'm gonna ask you a question, Jaira. I'm gonna have you look at this, and I'm gonna ask you a question. All right. Do you see this right here?
Yes.
All right.
Which dynasty?
This is hieroglyphs that were taken off of the tomb in Thebes, depicting Israelites as slaves working the fields of Egypt. What color are the slaves?
I see the color. I'm asking which dynasty, please.
What color are the slaves?
Which dynasty does it? All right, because that's the main.
Do you not answer basic questions, brother? I'm the
The
host of
color
the show.
is
Asking
but a
you a
reddish
question.
copper color. Okay, a reddish copper color.
Does
That's
this
what
look
I
like the
see.
same color as so-called black people? Yes or no?
Again, which dynasty? Are these the Hakus? Are these the Shashu? All right. Are these from
Does
the
this look
previous
like black
dynasties?
people? Yes or no?
Obviously not. They're not the color of the hair of
Okay, do
that
you see
one.
the afro? All right, let me
Yes.
ask the audience. Audience, 48 people in the chat. Does this look like black people working the fields in ancient Egypt on the hieroglyphs on the walls? Right, one for yes, right, two if you're confused.
Which
Do you see the
dynasty?
afro?
Which dynasty is this from?
I see
Please.
yes, I see yes. Hold on, brother. Let me address the audience. You're not the only one here. Be patient, please. Okay. So if there's archaeological data proving on the hieroglyphs of Egypt that enslaved persons fit the prophecies written in the Bible, do you believe in the Bible, Jaira? Yes or no?
No, because it was made by 40
All
other
right.
individuals
Thank
centuries
you for your
later by other
participation. I
oral
appreciate
tradition
you.
information.
You don't believe it, so there's no point to have a conversation. Have a nice day. Thank you. Come again. Welcome to the Quickie Mart. Thank you. Come again. Y'all see how that is? Y'all see how easy that is? What's the point of you being here if you don't believe in the Bible? What's the point of you being here if you don't believe? You just coming in to argue your point. Thank you. Welcome to the Quickie Mart. Thank you. Come again. Based Here it is. I'm asking the brother yes or no questions. He can't answer yes or no questions. Simple syrup. Sit in the audience, take notes. That's all you should do. And this is the problem with black people, right? The problem with black people is when the information is coming from their own people, they'll argue them down because it's coming out of my black lips. They won't go on the lives of European people and argue them down about history and archaeology. When we're reading the Bible, when we're reading history books, when we're reading encyclopedias, this is like going to the college professor and saying, 2 plus 2 is 22, teacher. Sit down, take notes. You walk into calculus talking about basic math. People are going to look at you like you simple. You can't even answer basic questions. Do they look like they black? They look kind of copper, but do you not see an afro? Well, yeah, they're Afro, but it doesn't mean they're necessarily like, what dynasty is that talking about? Moving the goalpost. Moving the goalpost. I see through your fallacies. When you start saying stuff like, oh, teaching that we're the Hebrews, that's hearsay. Teaching that we're Hebrews is hogwash. Basically, you calling me a liar on my own platform. I see through your BS. You're not going to come and disrespect me on my own platform where I'm teaching the Bible and try to tell me what we're teaching here is gossip and tales and fairy tales. Your ancestors went into slavery, yes or no? If your answer is yes, and we're reading a prediction written hundreds of years before it happened, that means your ancestors fit the prophecies. Your ancestors fit the prediction. And this is how simple it is. If I read that in the year 2025, if you write down these lottery numbers, you're going to win billions of dollars, and then I go to the gas station and get the lottery numbers, you'll be like, yo, thank you, Forefront. I appreciate you telling me the prediction before it happens. So now we're reading out of the Bible, something written by Moses, James, about a particular group of people that went into slavery in all nations. And then we ask the question, what group of people went into slavery in all nations? Simple questions. And out of love and appreciation for my people, I'm taking the time to cover the information so that way we can remove the mental programming. Native indigenous populations were the Israelites that were enslaved by Christopher Columbus. Hispanic people in Latin America are the Israelites that were enslaved by Christopher Columbus, Hernan Cortez, Ponce de Leon. So-called blacks in the Americas are the Israelites that the Bible talks of. How is that hearsay? How is that a lie? It's a prediction. We call it history. The Bible calls it prophecy. And the prophecy came true. Here it is, 2024. The waters are turning blood red, right? We're reading out of the Bible that the waters are turning blood red. Revelation chapter 16, verse 4. And somebody will come on my platform and say, oh no, that's hearsay. Just type it on TikTok right now. Get off of my live, type waters turning blood red, and then come back to my live and tell me, do you see a whole plethora of videos where rivers and oceans all across the planet are red? And it's predicted in the Bible. Go ahead, take a moment right now, get off of my live, go in the search box of YouTube, of TikTok or YouTube, and type waters turning blood red, and then just scroll and tell me all the videos that you see of waters in Egypt, Russia, Libya, Syria, Tanzania, Mexico, Jamaica, where the waters are turning red. And then come back here on the live and write in the comment section whether what I just said is true. And I could read it to you in the Bible. And I could read the prediction written over 2,000 years ago in Revelation chapter 16, verse 4, right? And the earliest case of this phenomenon happening is 1844. Y'all not talking to somebody that don't research, okay? You're not talking to somebody that doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm literally reading history books and encyclopedia. How is that hearsay? How is that hogwash? I'm done. People raising my blood pressure. Thank you for listening to the Forefront Radio. Please take a moment to like or subscribe to this channel. If you haven't subscribed, your subscriptions will assist us in teaching the Bible in the continent of Africa. Okay, so please do me a favor. If you appreciate this content, all subscribers will assist in being added to our Discord channel to help us teach in Africa. Okay, so please do me a favor. If you enjoy this information, you could either donate to our Cash App here. It's right there at the top, APHIELLEVI. Even if it's $5, it doesn't matter. Your efforts will help keep us running so we could teach this Bible to the best of our ability and teach Black history according to the Bible. If you haven't followed my account, follow my account right there. Tap that right there and hit follow. Okay? Make sure you share my room whenever we go live. Make sure you turn the notifications to all, so every video, everything that we put out, you'll be able to obtain. I pray that this discussion was rewarding for you. I pray that this was informative for you. But I feel like my blood pressure getting up and I'm getting a headache, so I'm going to take a break. All right. Thank you, Yaabe, for coming up on the live. I know you're at work right now, but I appreciate you. Thank you for everybody that currently subscribed and that are followers. Thank you for those that donate to the Forefront Radio at Afiel Levi on our Cash App. And thank you for the moderators and listeners. Okay. You can find this playback of this episode on either iHeartRadio or on YouTube. More than likely, I'll download it and upload it to YouTube first. So go to youtube.com and type the Forefront Radio 2.0, and you'll be able to receive this information on the playback. All right. Bless you, bro. Thank you. I appreciate the comment. Thank you. Shalom. All right. May the Most High bless you all. I'm going to go take a rest because I got a headache. I can't deal with scoffers and people that are disrespectful. All right, y'all. Shalom. Peace and blessings to the 12.